We're getting reports that Russia is sending 3 military ships to Syria. The Russian military official has confirmed that the ships are heading to a Russian base in the Syrian port of Tartus. They're expected to arrive there in a few days. Reports say more than 300 Marines are on board the vessels, but the exact nature of their mission is not clear. Officials in Moscow had earlier said that Russian Marines will be deployed to Tartus to protect the country's staff there. Vyacheslav Murazov, who's a Middle East expert, joins us from Moscow in order to tell us his reading on this. What is your reading of Moscow's decision to send 3 amphibious assault ships with Marines on board to its naval facility in the Syrian port of Tartus?
Of course, appearance of 3 big marine vessels in Tartus these days, while the United States proclaim intensifying their supply of weapons and the financing of militarized groups in Syrian oppositions. That means that it's the response of Russia on the Western American stand towards Syria. I think that official aim of this visit is the maneuvering of Russian 3 fleets, Northern, Far East, and Middle Mediterranean fleet are meeting in Black Sea. And on the way to the Black Sea, these 3 big marine vessels stayed in Tartus with 120 Marines on board and on each vessel, with all equipment, with all armament that they have at their disposal. I think it is political, of course, appearance, political signal to the United States, to Turkey, who are making maneuvers on Syrian borders by tanks and others, that Russia will not stand up, and Russia doesn't retire from their position in nearest future. So I think that if we take into consideration position of Kofi Annan, his retirement, and the discussion of issue of Syria in General Assembly of the United Nations, all these events, if they put together, it's obviously that United States doesn't want to leave the position that of encouraging militarized groups for military action in Syria. It is absolutely clear it is violation of all international law existed and violation of Charter of the United Nations that prohibited any interference, and especially military interference, in foreign affairs. Foreign countries. I think that ignoring of international law, the United States proclaimed a new policy for the United States in 21st century that don't respect any law, international law, don't respect the will of the people, because what is forces that fighting Syrian government today in Syria? They are foreigners, mainly. Foreigners coming and encouraged from outside. I think that it is not just position of the United States, and all accusation towards China, Russia, that they brought to this conflict. It is a big lie. We cannot agree with this approach of the United States officials talking about responsibility of Russia for undermining mission of Kofi Annan. I say that Kofi Annan mission was rejected from the very beginning by the United States, who said that it is not the goals of this mission. The goal of that mission should be overthrowing existing authority in Syria. It's what not a decision of the Security Council committee. That it was Security Council who decided to bring peace to Syria, but United States wanted the war. So in this condition, I don't think that Syrian government should have any restrictions to undertake any measures, any means to stop violations on their country, in their country. It is their legitimate right for Syrian authority to use all forces at their disposal to put an end of these violations. Russia, on my opinion, is making all efforts on international level to prohibit foreign or open intervention in Syria from Turkey, from Lebanon, from any other directions. I think that foreign interference is excluded, but interference undercover and interference in the sending weapon, a modern weapon, a rocket against aviation, rockets against tanks, and many other things, military purposes, are made from American side. I think that it is the way to war, not the way to peace. Russia choose the peace. America choose the war.
Well, with all due respect, it's not just the United States, as you mentioned, who has ignored international law, which in essence has made a mockery of the UN, also France, also UK, and also some other countries. But when you say it's a political move by Russia to send these three amphibious assault ships with Marines on board, I think you said there's 120 on board each, making it 360. Well, isn't that a fine line that might be passed when you say that's in retaliation to the U.S. and its partners funding militarily these militants on the ground?
I don't think that Russian military presence in the sea, in the Tartus, the official port of Syria, that acknowledged by all countries as an independent state, is a subject of any quarrel between Russia and the United States. I don't imagine any cases that such kind of maneuvering, a peaceful maneuvering, will bring confrontation, military confrontation between the United States and Russia. I think that within those limits of political means, I think that Russia came to this conclusion, and using military forces as a political means to prove their political stand to events developing on Syrian soil. I think it is firm position, political, diplomatical position, including a Russian position in the United Nations, through discussions, the Saudian offer to blame Syrian government on violation, on demand on Syrian president to retire. I think it is not the right for a General Assembly even discuss such kind of issues. Any questions concerning world security, world situation, is the subject of Security Council, but not General Assembly discussion. I think it is very old quarrel between the United States and Russia, beginning from Korean War in 50s, when the United States pressed Russian, Soviet that time, government to acknowledge that decisions of General Assembly more important than decisions of Security Council. Charter of the United Nations give another answer for this question. It is very old dispute between the United States, Washington and Moscow, and I think that the United States using the same method to achieve their geopolitical goals in the Middle East. I think that Russian position is absolutely firm, absolutely just, and based on legitimate stand of United Nations Charter.
Thank you very much, Vyacheslav Matazov, Middle East expert there, talking to us from Moscow.